All right, here we are in 2026, and you know the world of digital threats? It's evolving faster than ever. So how do we actually survive? That's what we're going to break down today. The new rules for cybersecurity, taking a hard look at the threats that just won't go away, the battlefields that are getting bigger, and yeah, that double-edged sword we call AI. Let's jump in.
Yeah, and we're kicking things off with this quote for a reason. It totally reframes the whole conversation, right? We've got to stop thinking about security as just some IT problem tucked away in a server room. In 2026, this is about survival. It's about keeping the lights on, period.
So, a new year always means new threats, new challenges. But you know what? It's also a chance for a fresh start, for some new resolutions. So, what are the big resolutions the cybersecurity world really needs to make to handle what's coming?
Okay, so what are the experts telling us? They're flagging 5 big ones. First, security has to be a core part of the business, not an afterthought. We've got to start prepping for quantum threats. That's where hackers steal our encrypted data now because they know they'll be able to crack it later. We need to get on board with phishing-resistant passkeys. And when it comes to AI, the rules are simple but crucial. Get serious about locking down AI itself and use it to make our people smarter, not to replace them.
All right, let's dive into our first big challenge. And honestly, it's the one that's been with us forever, the human factor. People, you, me, all of us, and our habits are still one of the most stubborn vulnerabilities in the whole security chain.
And you know, there is no better, or maybe I should say worse, example of this than the LastPass breach. This was the password manager that got hacked way back in 2022, and believe it or not, the fallout is still happening today. It's a huge lesson in what happens when attacks target people.
Now look at this timeline. This is what's so fascinating and terrifying. This wasn't some quick smash and grab. The hackers stole the data years ago and they've been sitting on it, patiently, methodically, just cracking open those password vaults one by one. It's that classic harvest now, decrypt later attack. And for the victims, the nightmare just doesn't end.
And the sheer scale of this, 30 million user vaults. That's not just a number, that's a massive treasure trove for criminals. And it's exactly why a single breach from years ago is still a very real, very present danger for people today.
This quote from Jeff Kroom, man, it just says it all, doesn't it? The attack has taken on a life of its own. It's a stark reminder that once your credentials are out there in the wild, the threat doesn't just go away, it lingers.
So what does this all mean for us? It means our thinking has to evolve. All that old advice, change your password every 30 days, make it super complex with tons of symbols, that's all out the window. Today, it's all about length and strength. But even more important, we're moving away from passwords altogether and toward things like passkeys, which basically let your phone or computer log you in. They're pretty much immune to phishing.
And this right here, this quote just hits the nail on the head. For security to actually work, it has to be easy. It has to be frictionless. If the secure way isn't easier than the old insecure way, like, keeping all your passwords in a spreadsheet, then people just aren't going to do it. It's on the industry to make the right path the easy path. So, focusing on people is absolutely critical, but it's only one piece of the puzzle. The battlefield itself is getting bigger. We're not just talking about individual companies anymore. We're talking about entire software supply chains. And we're seeing some huge industry responses to this. Take Microsoft's new bug bounty program, for instance. They're calling it in scope by default, and it's a fundamental change in how we think about responsibility in this super connected world.
When you put it side by side like this, you can really see the massive shift in thinking. We've gone from a time of bug penalties, where you could literally get in legal trouble for finding a security flaw, to bug bounties. And now, it's not just about protecting your own little patch of code. It's about taking ownership of the entire ecosystem and working together in a kind of collaborative defense.
And that's why this analogy, a rising tide lifts all boats, is just perfect. When a giant player like Microsoft says, hey, we're responsible for our whole footprint, including all the third-party stuff we use, it makes the entire digital world safer for everyone. It's a huge step toward collective security.
All right, which brings us to our third big topic, and it's a real paradox. I'm talking about artificial intelligence. It is, at the exact same time, the most powerful new weapon for the bad guys and our most critical new shield.
So the big question is, how in the world do you secure AI? Well, it turns out you fight AI with AI. OpenAI is doing some incredible work here with something called an automated red team.
Basically, they've built one AI whose only job is to get really, really good at tricking other AIs. It hunts for brand new ways to attack so that OpenAI can then teach its main models how to defend against those very attacks before criminals discover them. It's this wild, automated cat-and-mouse game being played entirely by machines.
But, and this is a huge but, we have to remember this quote: a new AI agent is like a brilliant 3-year-old. It has all the intelligence in the world but zero wisdom. It has no life experience, no street smarts, which means it's incredibly naive and can be tricked with the same kinds of social engineering that fool people.
And that idea is exactly why we have to follow some pretty clear rules when we're using AI. It's here to augment us, to make us better, not to replace us. The single most important security layer? Still a human in the loop for any big decision. We can't give these AI agents unlimited permissions, and we always have to remember they can be conned, just like us.
Okay, so let's pull all these threads together. You've got the human factor, this expanding battlefield, the rise of AI. What does it all point to? It points to the fact that what we really need is a complete, fundamental shift in our mindset.
And this table, well, it lays it out perfectly. We have to go from the old thinking, where security is just an IT problem, to the new thinking, where security is a core function of business survival. We've got to stop worrying only about our own organization and start thinking about our entire supply chain. And maybe most importantly, we have to stop blaming humans as the weakest link and start using technology to empower them.
And really, it all comes down to this one question we all need to ask ourselves. The threats we're facing now, they demand a completely new way of thinking, a new approach to working together, and a totally new relationship with our tech. So, the only question that matters is, are you ready?